There is an artist like this in history. His name was Kuo Pao Kun. Perhaps you've heard of him? Perhaps not. Once he wrote a play, Descendants of the Eunuch Admiral. Perhaps you've seen it, or heard about it? Perhaps not. This play, it has 16 scenes, and there's one that I like the most, scene 14. For almost 20 years, I struggled to understand this scene. Where is this land that the scene describes? This paradise, the country without rulers, or the country of rulers, Nagara Raja Raja. I'd like to tell you more about it, but when I think about it, I'm afraid of what you'll think. Let me tell you some of the stories instead.
Framing Introduction to Peace by Robin Loon. In September 2022, Brian Tan, together with Casey Lin and Robin Loon, collectively known as the Blue Statesman, did a video response to Kuo Pao Kun's Descendants of the Eunuch Admiral. It is entitled Descent, the video of which you are watching now. Kuo Pao Kun had a tremendous impact on the art making and lives of the Blue Statesman. In 2012, in commemoration of the 10th anniversary of his passing, the Blue Statesman created a one-person show that responded to the works of Kuo Pao Kun. This performance, entitled The Blueprints, featured actor Oliver Chong playing an incarcerated man who reflects on his past, reimagines his present, and dreams of the future. On the 20th anniversary of his passing, the Blue Statesman contemplated notions of loss, dreams, and home. This was particularly pertinent to us because both the Blueprints and Descent were part of the Substation Setfest 2012 and 2022. The Substation. Perhaps you've heard of it? Perhaps not. In 1995, I had the privilege of watching TheatreWorks' production of Descendants of the Eunuch Admiral at the Victoria Theatre in June, and the Theatre Practices production of Zheng He the Whole Dai in August, also at the Victoria Theatre. Watching these two productions 2 months apart at the Victoria Theatre changed my life. The postmodern aesthetics that Ong Keng Sen brought to his interpretation of Kuo's play in English, and Kuo's use of Chao-skin Kuo theatre and in his self-directed Mandarin production of his play showed me the range, impact, and reach live theatre can achieve. And that was in 1995. The following reflections are from Jeremiah Choi, a cast member from the TheatreWorks production. When I was invited by KS, Ong Keng Sen, to be part of a performance in 1995, all I knew was that I had a non-speaking part. Descendants of the Eunuch Admiral was written by the late Kuo Pao Kun, the 4 original cast members, Dennis Koh, Ivan Heng, Casey Lin, and Teng Fu Quen, and I poured ourselves into the script, and we wondered. No characters, no dialogue, just paragraphs after paragraphs of description of Zheng He's journey and various means of castration. This is Ong Keng Sen in his NYU days of postmodernist theatre experiment. Each rehearsal became an adventure. We had to be prepared for all kinds of rehearsal prompts or preparation thrown at us. All we had was a script, which was distributed on the spot every rehearsal. So we had to devise a lot. For me, I had to create the spirit of the space representing the eunuch, with each scene and chart my own journey. For example, for the prologue, where the performers enter into a realm dressed in corporate attire, we experimented with different starts to the show. Finally, we found the power of the red sashes and ribbons, where the different performers responded differently to them. And then we found the ritual of cleansing, where I washed their feet individually before starting to take off their pants and skirts. This is the first article of clothing that was discarded. One of the climactic moments of the production was when 3 performers spun for close to 6 minutes to Janice's monologue. At the end of the monologue, I joined them in unison, and when they stopped, I had to continue spinning in my white full skirt to black out. It was a moment of beauty and purity. Perhaps the most emotional moment was the ending, where the performers found their own closure in crawling out through the exit, with me tying the red sashes and ribbon. The final image on stage was this red ball-like installation resembling what they left behind, their baobei. Our whole rehearsal process was about finding meaning to the text in the script and finding relevance and resonance in our gestures and movements. We repeated each scene again and again, distilling them until we found the essence of the scene in its purest form. Sometimes we rehearsed for hours for a single scene and still found them unsuitable. For example, once we had a huge bale of paper which we rolled, unrolled, crushed, tore. Another time we had fire in the rehearsal room until our eyes were all smoked out. The performers spent hours squatting or spinning. It was physically demanding. The funniest was when one performer started to knock on the floor and the rest followed knocking on the floor, only to find out in post-rehearsal discussion that the actor had lost one of his contact lenses and was trying to warn his fellow performers not to step on it. A lot of the choices were discarded along the way. The following are the reflections from Janice Kuo, a cast member from the TheatreWorks production. We were like atoms. We had our trajectory in the space in terms of our emotional and physical relationship with the text and the environment when we were rehearsing. We had a lot of free rein to also collide with each other and spark, and see where the spark brought us. Sometimes those sparks were mundane and we threw them out, and then sometimes those sparks were fascinating and bordered on the weird because you didn't know what was going on. You just don't know what's happening. I remember talking to Casey. He always feels so exhausted physically and mentally, but we just do. We just do, and just do, and just do. And then you're given breaks, and you were talking outside. He says, do you know what's going on? I said, do you know what's going on? Just go in and do. And the level of trust that you had with the directors to shape the scene, I think is what really made this performance, at least visually for me, very powerful. Okay, scene 13. It's a description of a marketplace where the emissaries have brought their goods for trading, and it ends with Zheng He's dream. Coming at the end of what we have already experienced with Zheng He and with the characters who have brought these lines to life, their emasculation, their struggle, I feel like this scene has a sense of being a dream, a fantasy, an escape, a wish, an alternate reality, and in that sense, a release. So we move on to this whirling dervish scene, which in itself was physically taxing. When we were rehearsing for that, I think we spent 8 hours spinning. 8 hours. And that was when my NUS Theatre Studies training came to the fore. I was the only one who could remember and say the lines. It was hard for everybody else, and it just happened that I could remember the whole speech. And in the movement of spinning, there is a trance. It's very meditative. Suddenly, you're no longer thinking about the physical action, your brain switches more into remembering the lines, and then you go into the lines and suddenly it's like 2 spheres of energy. One is outside and it's moving on its own, and the other sphere is moving inside, having its own internal energy. And that is where the lines are coming from. I really don't know how else to describe it. How could? I'm one of those people who get to know someone through their work and writing, and it's not necessarily more edifying for me to know someone personally. And having worked on both Descendants and then shortly after Spirits Play, I feel a deep affinity with him, an alignment with him through his words. So all the way through, even up to when I was an NMP, a lot of my speeches as a parliamentarian, I have all his writing, essays, articles right next to me, because I still draw from his wisdom, how he thought about the role of artists and our work and our job, and the sacred space in which we operate that we need to rightfully claim as ours. The following reflections are from Sonia Wong, a cast member from the Theatre Practice production. Pao Kun told me he was writing a new script and in the process of forming an ensemble for the play. He asked me if I would be interested to join. I said yes almost instantly, no need to think. I felt so honored and privileged that this theatre doyen would offer me, a newbie, without audition, to be part of this new production called 政府的后代. It was an amazing and rich 5.5 months rehearsal process. Theatre practice rehearsal space used to be at 155 Waterloo Street. 4 nights a week, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., we would gather at level 2 rehearsal space. No air conditioning, just open windows. We got a fair share of humid evenings alternating with cooler ones. But most evenings, we would need to wrestle with the ritual music and drums from the Hindu temple. We would not be audible if we did not engage in some serious voice work. It was a steep learning curve for me, plus the fact that every single ensemble member in this production carried much more performing credits and experience than me, and precisely so, I've had an intensive learning process because I've got to make keen observations of how this big group of strong actors prepare their bodies and their roles. I would not have exchanged anything else for it. I learned about clarity, audibility, precision on the use of voice. I learned about spatial awareness, about energy complementing and contrasting with your ensemble member. 以表演对手之间的默契. I learned about improvisation, learning, creating meaning in the art you make right on the spot. I learned from an art lesson how your body needs to be prepared before you engage in risk. There was this group skipping improvisation which Pao Kun was thinking of including as part of the scene. 2 actors were in charge of swinging this big rope while the rest of us would feel the swinging rhythm and then took turns to jump the rope. Things were fine for a while until I missed the beat, tripped on the rope, and the next thing I knew, I was already on the floor with an excruciating pain piercing from my left ankle. Pao Kun stopped the rehearsal, called in the resident acupuncture physician who came in quite quickly to check on this clumsy casualty. A few needles was all it took to work wonders. It was a bad sprain, but I didn't have to limp very much. Uncle PK was more concerned with 蹲厕所应该没问题吧? You can use squat toilet, yes? After this incident, he took away the group skipping scene, or rather, he took me away from the scene. I remember feeling very bad about affecting the rehearsal that night because I didn't take care of myself. That ingrained in me that as an actor, for future self-reminders, I could not afford to be careless without affecting people because theatre is about the team. At 22, I had my own understanding and interpretation of 阉割 castration. But each time, the last scene was enacted, and as Johnny Ng, 加强大哥, spoke those lines from scene 16, I get goosebumps. 30 years later, more than half a century old, the emotions just churn every time I read that text. And if ever I am still around and able to read this in another 30 years, I still believe that Pao Kun was way ahead of his time. The following are reflections from Tan Bing Tian, a cast member from the theatre practice production. In February 1995, while studying traditional glove puppetry and string puppetry at Quanzhou Performing Arts School, I received an unexpected invitation from renowned theatre director Kuo Pao Kun. He wanted to incorporate puppetry into his play Descendants of the Eunuch Admiral. I was thrilled beyond words. This theatre doyen, whom I admired greatly, had not only invited me to collaborate, but also agreed to wait until I graduated to begin rehearsals. For inspiration, I visited Quanzhou's Tianhu Temple, where a 1417 pillar commemorates Zheng He's 5th journey. Imperial Envoy Admiral Zheng He, en route to Hormuz and other states, prayed here for divine protection on the 16th day of the 5th month, Yongle 15th year. Back in Singapore, the creative process was a dynamic clash of visions. Mr. Kuo, new to puppetry, experimented with performance styles where I relentlessly revised the shadow visuals adjustment, continued even on opening night, the 3rd of August. This grueling process forged in me a resilience of no fear of starting over and a lifelong lesson. Art has no finish line. Perfection lies in the pursuit itself. In 2015, the Esplanade chose Kuo's play as one of 5 plays from the Singapore canon to restage for SG50. Journalist and theatre critic Corey Tam published an article entitled "Why Kuo Pao Kun's Descendants of the Eunuch Admiral Matters" on March 31st, 2015. Here are excerpts from the article. Director Jeff Chen is staging a revival of Descendants of the Eunuch Admiral next month as part of the Esplanade Studio season of 50 Singapore plays. And he is feeling more than just regular nervousness. Quote, because in our theatre community, when you ask a lot of practitioners which of Pao Kun's texts they love the most, it would be Descendants. Unquote. The late Kuo Pao Kun's lyrical episodic play is an open invitation to directors, written in 16 parts with no characters or stage directions indicated, and entirely in prose and verse. There is a sort of beautiful desolation to the play which opens with, I have come to realize of late that dreaming has become the center of my life. The unnamed narrators, flitched from personal, poetic musings to painful, haunting stories of castration in ancient China to sumptuous descriptions of travel and exploration. In the broader scheme of things, Singapore theatre at the time was entering into the global shift that theatre across the world had been experiencing, moving from grand ideas of nationalism and nationality, of homogeneous societies existing in harmony, to postmodernism and fractured and multiple identities. It is in Descendants that Kuo foreground his pivotal idea of Singaporeans as cultural orphans, an immigrant community with no nation or culture to return to, each person displaced and only inheriting fragments of culture. Kuo, who was born in China, came to Singapore at a very young age and said at a 1993 conference at the substation, quote, we are great at making money. We will still possess this merchant mentality. Everything can be bought or sold, including culture. With all the money in the world, one cannot buy identity. I went back to my village in China 8 years ago, but it didn't solve my problem. End quote. The play ends with an incantation of sorts, a declaration in verse. I cannot tarry. I must hurry. The sea, the land, the sky is waiting. The market is calling me. Former Life arts writer Suhaila Sulaiman later wrote in a 2002 review of a publication of Kuo's 2 plays, quote, these plays have given audiences here some of the best theatrical experiences ever. Top on the list has to be the 1995 production of Descendants by TheatreWorks director Ong Keng Sen, with its unforgettable whirling dervishes inspired scene, which had 5 satin-swathed performers spinning towards transcendence. End quote. Many practitioners and theatre groups have gone on to interpret Descendants in myriad ways, including playwright Alvin Saad's translation and adaptation of the text into Malay in 2003, as well as a Japanese take on the script in 1996 by the avant-garde Black Tent Theatre in Tokyo. Ong Keng Sen says of this, quote, I think that's the hallmark of great work. It can take a million interpretations, but what it is saying will always be crystal clear. End quote. In 2025, 6 NUS Theatre Studies students respond to Descendants of the Eunuch Admiral. 6 students trying to get closer to this 600-year-old legend of a molested and incarcerated man, trying to get closer to this 30-year-old piece of text. 6 students keep on dreaming, hoping, searching, struggling.
Hi everyone, today we warmly welcome you to Peace, presented by NUS Theatre Studies and Centre 42 as part of the Vault Residency. Before we begin, here are a few reminders. Please ensure your mobile devices are switched off or silenced. Please also take note that photography and recording are strictly prohibited. The show will begin shortly.
The Grand Eunuch Admiral Zheng He led his great armada across uncharted waters for his final voyage.
In a terrifying storm, the fleet was swallowed up.
They were thrown into the air like toys.
Everyone seemed destined for the bottom of the sea.
Then a miracle happened.
The storm subsided.
Soon afterwards, land was sighted, and the intimation of tragedy became memory.
Washed up on the shores of a foreign land, Zheng He heard footsteps approaching.
He was surrounded by people of the land. He said,
I am the Grand Admiral Eunuch Zheng He, Commander-in-Chief of the Imperial Expedition.
The people responded, Eunuch,
What is a eunuch?
we do not understand.
I am a servant of the Emperor.
Who? Serve?
What do you serve?
How do you serve?
Why do you serve?
where do you serve?
Serve.
How do you
What
serve?
is
What
a
is
eunuch?
50 years ago. Before I was the Grand Eunuch Admiral, I was a boy.
A boy condemned to perpetual poverty. No titles, no land, nothing.
There was only one way out: to serve as a eunuch in the Emperor's imperial court.
The question of descendants would not hinder his fate. His brother had already borne his family 2 sons.
So it was decided.
Father could not bear it. He downed his 3rd jar of wine and sharpened the razor.
I could not meet his eyes as he entered the room. Though I trembled, I said to him with certainty, Father, it's time.
Father's tears stained the dirt below his feet. Through gritted teeth, he asked his son,
You won't regret?
He said,
Father, I won't regret.
but the man asked his son once more.
Are you sure you won't regret?
His son responded,
Yes, Father, I'm sure I won't regret.
He could not cry, for fear that his father would not be able to do it. He asked his son once more, his voice shaking through tears.
Are you sure you won't regret?
Yes, Father, I'm sure I won't regret. Please, come and do it.
He turned his head away and braced himself.
Father's breathing got heavier.
he rushed over to his son.
Shattering pain.
Darkness enveloped him.
When he woke up, Father brought a box before him and opened it carefully. He knew that was his 7th penis. When he woke up, Father brought a box before him and opened it carefully. He knew that was his 7th penis. When he woke up, Father brought a box before him and opened it carefully. He knew that was his 7th genitalia. What? This one also cannot. See me on down. Okay. He knew that was his kukuman.
Oh! Just try something PG, always works.
What does PG mean? It means problem gone.
Parental guidance.
Okay, I try. He knew that was his 7th reproductive organ.
I don't understand what's going on. Are we in trouble?
We are not in any trouble as long as we follow the right guidelines. Aiya, don't worry. This kind of thing, small thing. Just need to goreng some different things.
So much for giving us the full creative liberty.
Please, We know there's no such thing as full creative liberty in this society.
So what? There's always going to be someone telling you what you can do.
Yes, but that doesn't mean we can be so obscene. That might offend some people.
We should be allowed to say what we want, okay? That's what creative freedom means.
Look, interruptions and edits happen in every show. What matters is that we find a way to still get our message heard. But I still don't understand anything that we did wrong.
Guys, time check. Time to move on.
But what about the...
Don't worry. I tell you, in my 10 years of experience, I kena so many times already. Nothing will happen one. They want you to change, you just change. Moved by Zheng He's tragedy, the people of the land made him an offer.
Something he had never possessed in all those decades as the Grand Eunuch Admiral.
A choice?
Reattach his reproductive organ.
What? How could you suggest such a thing?
As long as you remain severed from yourself, you remain a servant of the Emperor.
A slave of the Empire. If you're made whole again, you belong to no one.
No one but yourself.
You will rule yourself as yourself.
Whole and complete. You are in our land now. We have no empire. We have no ruler.
All we have is ourselves.
There's no such thing. No one truly belongs to themselves.
That may be the way things are.
But here, we live in the way things could be.
It's your time to choose.
Is it really possible that this reunion will unshackle me from the Emperor?
To remain severed is to remain a servant.
Break the bond. Bring him back.
The man before the eunuch.
Do I forsake the eunuch to reclaim the man?
But remember the man, fated to be poor and downtrodden forever.
A far cry from the Grand Imperial Eunuch and his great armada.
To remain severed is to remain the imperial eunuch.
The face of an empire, enjoying its wealth and riches.
What now?
How? Quick out!
This is unacceptable. He can't keep getting away with this.
Guys, calm down. Can we be more professional?
Did we cross another line?
Hey, you were the last one to speak, right? Must be something you said.
Me? Oh, sorry, what did I say?
I don't care what he said. They're just trying to make us...
Yeah, they're just trying to silence us because they're afraid of words. Penis! Oh!
You said something about money, right? Maybe money is a sensitive topic for some people?
We can't even say money now.
I don't think it's the word money. We should just try to be careful.
I go vape. Smoke! I'm going to smoke! Smoke! In the yellow box!
Hey guys, I'm going to go smoke now, okay?
I'm gonna get some fresh air.
Hey, I think you should just try saying less of these censored words.
What? We're self-censoring ourselves now.
Don't think about it as self-censoring. Think about it as creative limitations. You know, great art is always created when there are limits.
But it's so unnecessary. What's wrong with saying penis?
You have to keep saying that word. It's obviously not helping this situation.
It's the artist's job to speak up, okay? Not following the orders like a sheep. Didn't teach you to just submit to authority in your theatre school?
No,
Exactly.
I don't understand why this is happening. Could we be fired for this?
Maybe, but it's just a small price to pay, okay? You always other opportunities in your life.
but I don't want to lose my first job right out of school. And I don't want this to be my first and last production. No one's going to get fired. We'll figure it out somehow.
Are you not worried at all?
You can always do something else.
Well, not everyone has daddy's money as a safety net.
What does that have to do with anything, huh?
It means that you get to be irresponsible and not have to face the consequences after.
Think about your classmates. The rules exist to protect the artist as well.
That's not what I'm trying to say.
Wait. Relax, man. Y'all never take break, ah?
Alright, let's all take a deep breath and get back to work. Also, I get a rush up after this.
No, you can't say things like that. You get away with it.
Okay. Enough liao. Okay? Okay, guys, we need to start now.
If I were reunited with myself, would I become a man?
What would I be if I were a man without the eunuch?
A complete man.
A true man.
A man who is not a eunuch, subject, or a servant.
Just a man.
But what is a man compared to the grand imperial eunuch, prized possession of the imperial courts?
Thousands of men, all under my command. I above them all.
All that power lost upon regaining my treasure.
I will become a rebel, no longer wielding the mandate of the Son of Heaven.
No! If my incomplete self brings power, then shall I remain a eunuch?
What? We didn't even say
Hey!
Will you stop disrupting this rehearsal? I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. I said that.
It's okay. Now we know what we can't say. Like the P word, fuck! And vulgarities.
What about eunuch? Was it because you said rebel?
Rebel? Rebel? Rebel! Rebel!
Okay, we're not being censored now, which means it's not just about the words.
It's not about the words. It's about keeping everybody here safe. Which means that we should just...
Guys! There's something written on here. It says, you will be... I knew it!
They're trying to silence our artistic voice!
What's wrong with Zheng He staying with you now?
You're crazy!
Hey, don't say that!
Why is this happening to us?
Guys, let's just play it safe. And also, I got a gig after this.
Okay, let's just think. We know maybe there are some guidelines that we breached, and so we know what we can't say, and now we know that maybe it's not about Zheng He wanting to be a eunuch, maybe it's about him not wanting his reproductive organ.
But what about his autonomy? It's not about what he begs, it's about the right to choose.
Exactly! Autonomy! It's about the right to choose!
Yeah, sure, whatever keeps the play going.
Yeah, I can't believe censorship still exists in this nation. I'm so angry right now, I'm gonna say the no. We will not be silenced.
We will not be silenced. Do you actually even care?
Yeah, I care so much. I post about all this on my Instagram every single day.
Right, for your 3 followers. We're actually trying to make something real here. You're clearly just jumping onto the bandwagon. Admit it, you're just scared like everyone else.
I don't have to get detained to make my point.
Guys, it's just a play. It's not just entertainment, right? Do we care so much about the message?
Yes, we do.
But we still have to follow the rules. The rules exist for a reason.
Alright. We should always see both sides. That's what makes it a choice for Zheng He, isn't it?
Okay, guys. Let's just try it and we see, okay? Let's just move our bodies, not our mouths.
Yeah, sure.
We will not be silenced! We will not be silenced!
Oi! You shout! Not quiet lah! Get off the box. We need to start now.
I will be honored to be restored the ability to reproduce for the greater good. Imagine all the little Zheng He's running around the courtroom.
I will have real descendants.
Descendants of the Grand Admiral.
I will live on through them, never to be forgotten.
And my blood will water a new generation.
And the seeds I've laid will thrive.
And my legend will blossom.
But to be a father is to forsake my legacy as the Grand Eunuch Admiral.
To fall from the heights of the imperial courts, disgraced into obscurity.
My name in history will be erased once again by the Emperor.
The Eunuch Admiral will no longer exist.
I wouldn't even be Zheng He anymore. Would I be Ma He? Would I be Sai?
Is this how it ends?
Wait, no! Zheng He hasn't even made his decision yet!
Exactly, we need to make a stance.
I think we should just leave it as it is. Leave the ending open-ended, so it's less controversial. Leave it to the audience to choose.
That's just the same as saying you have no opinions.
If this is not the place for you to protest, please stop bringing chaos to the play.
I think Zheng He shouldn't accept the offer. His choice is also our choice, right? To accept the fate or attempt to change means that
Exactly, he should not take the offer. Just like us, we should not submit to authority.
Can you stop cutting me off? What is happening?
I don't know, but we're clearly doing something wrong and we need to figure out what that is.
You see, your actions are endangering everyone else.
So
Don't you think you're being a bit too selfish?
So you care about what others think over the truth, over your artistic integrity.
Alright guys, I'd love to help figure this out, but I got a gig in 20 minutes, so I'm leaving.
No one leaves until it figures out.
What is there to figure out? The rules don't make any sense. We're doing a play about a man who gains the right to make his own decisions. And you're telling me that people shouldn't be hearing that?
I don't know, okay? But we need to believe that the rules exist for a reason.
That's what the system wants us to believe.
You tell me then, where do we go from here? We make Zheng He accept the offer, just because it makes the most sense.
Does it though? He's just gonna give up everything he has become? Is it what society thinks is normal? No!
What the fuck? Put out the door! Which one of you did this? Maybe you have daddy's money and you can give a shit about your artistic voice, but to some of us, this is just a job that we need to feed ourselves.
Wait, did any of you lock the door?
Maybe they locked it. They're just not gonna let us go until we say what they want us to say.
Don't say this kind of thing, they might be listening.
I don't care, okay? We have a right to our creative freedom.
Then why can't they just tell us what they want us to say and then we do it?
It's all in the guidelines. We've already written it down.
Last time they fired a bullet with a message on it like this, it didn't end well. I think we might be locked in here for a while. Until we give them what they want, no one is leaving.
I'm not doing this. This is so unprofessional. I think the door is unlocked. You guys can figure it out.
Okay, we need to make a decision. Either Zheng He stays as he is, or he gets himself reattached.
Why should Zheng He change? What's wrong with who he is? I thought theatre is about celebrating the authentic self. I don't think we should send out the wrong kind of message.
Of course not. All we are saying is that he is who he is, with or without the P word.
We shouldn't stand back and let our play be ripped to shreds. He is Zheng He! No emperor, society, or censor is going to change that.
All we are saying is that Zheng He doesn't need to reproduce. Maybe reproduction is not the only way to leave a legacy. We just don't have to be so radical about it.
If being radical means that we tell people that no authority and society can tell you how to be, then so be it.
So, are we going to finish this play or not?
I don't know. At first, I thought I was making art that would empower others, that people would see themselves in Zheng He. But now everything we do seems to be wrong, and I just don't know if I'd be doing the right thing.
I tell you, I've seen this so many times already. You think you all are the first ones to go through this? Youngsters always want to have things their way. Then they get shut down, or they disappear, and nothing changes.
Then we should give up? Let them win?
That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that if you all want to do what you think is right, even if they don't like it, just be prepared to face the consequences.
We know what happened and we are prepared.
You think you're prepared? You're also naive. Same as me last time. I used to think that art can make a difference. Then I realized that your passion is not enough. Your art will not save you.
Then why are you still here? If all this is just pointless to you.
Because maybe I still want to believe it matters.
Then let's do it. Screw everything. We tell the story the way we want it to be told.
This is crazy.
It is. And I want to create something meaningful. I do. But the truth is, I'm scared. What if we stage this play and we're never allowed to stage another play ever again? You've seen what happens, right? People are ruined by this.
Yes, many are.
But then, maybe some won't be.
But I still don't understand. I just know that the rules exist for a reason.
You still believe that after everything?
Yes. Because without rules, what else is there? Chaos? Is that better?
Because under their rules, everything is going perfect.
I know it's not perfect, but I need to believe that there's a reason. People don't simply make rules. There's always a logic for everything, even if we don't understand it.
But do you understand it?
You keep saying that these rules are in place to protect us from something. But protect us from what?
I don't
Or
know.
who?
I don't know anymore. I just want to do the right thing.
They will always have a reason.
But we don't have to accept it.
So, we finish this play.
Okay, let's finish our story.
When will this all end?
Why should I change who I am to become who I should be?
Am I condemned to perpetual limbo between legend and man?
Maybe my legacy doesn't need to be rewritten.
Man,
Or Eunuch.
I am complete.
I am Zheng He, with or without my penis!
I am who I am!
Orphan, wanderer, eunuch, admiral.
I'm right here.
I love the way I am.
There's no need to change. There's no need to reproduce.
I am the Eunuch Admiral.
I am him.
I am me.
I am complete.
Finally! I'm leaving.
The door is open.
Does that mean we did it?
I think so.
Well, the door is open and they stopped firing the bullets, which means it must be.
I guess they're just afraid of us, after all. I mean, what were they going to do if we refuse to listen to them, lock us in until we starve and die? If they did that, I would have posted it all over the internet.
Wow, you're still going on about all that. Excellent. Maybe we should just leave it here?
I agree. Let's just go.
We should celebrate this is a victory.
Hey, I'm feeling generous. Anyone want prata? My treat.
Wow, you're finally acting like the oldest should be, huh?
Was that banter?
Sorry, it's just been a long day.
See lah, I'm busting because of you.
It's not me.
Don't like government? Just go overseas. Wah!
Okay. I have no choice. Am I doing it right? I am a man again. Back to the way things should be. You want me to be whole again? Yes, please. I am whole again. Do it this way. Yes, that's the way I like it. I will be good. I will do as you say, and say as you do. Then you will do a very good job. I'm happy. You're happy. It's so easy when everyone is happy. Yes, I want my manhood back. Everything's back to normal again.
Hi, thank you everyone. Thank you for taking time off and joining us for Peace, the presentation by our NUS Theatre Studies program. And I'm Kate Singh, I'm the co-dramaturg of this piece, and Dr. Robin Loon is my fellow co-dramaturg and course chair for Theatre Lab. Yeah. Oh, shall we give it up again once more for this wonderful company? To invite them to introduce their names to you guys, so at least you know who they are. Alright, so starting from Liu-sen.
Hi, my name is Liu-sen.
Hi, I'm Brian.
I'm Hannah Rose.
I'm Shen Hao.
I'm Yishen.
I'm Casing.
Thank you so much. They've worked so hard over the past 2.5 months, right, to bring their vision to life, and that's what you saw today. Yeah, and also I'd like to thank, special shout out to some people here. There's Mr. Brian Tan, hello, hi, and thank you so much, and Theatre Practice and TheatreWorks. Thank you for providing access to the videos that we've seen pre-show earlier. And today we also have special guests with us today. There's Ms. Tan Bing Tian. Hello. We've seen the 1997 Mandarin production, and Bing Tian was cast in it. And we also have Miss Nora Samosa with us. It's just like seeing the canon of the Singapore theatre history. You were in the SG50 version.
Yes.
Directed by Jack Chen. Yes. Right. Thank you so much for being here. So Peace marks the 7th collaboration between Centre 42's Vaults, Residency and NUS Theatre Lab. Over 65 students have gone through the long and fulfilling process of reading, analysing and responding to the themes, core issues and dramaturgy of 7 iconic plays in the Singapore theatre canon, resulting in 7 years' worth of unique, fascinating performance responses. The Vaults Residency is one of several programs run by Centre 42 to support local theatre practitioners in telling stories for the Singapore stage. Your donation to attend Peace today will go a long way in helping Centre 42 run more of such programs and of course continue our NUS Centre 42 collaboration for many years to come. You can also become a champion of Centre 42 to support the team on a longer term basis and get special perks when you make a donation. You can find out more about Champions of Centre 42 at the front of house downstairs. With that, Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and we wish you a good evening ahead. Peace out.